that there's a big gap in terms of how you approach directing when you're going on a project that's scripted versus unscripted?
I mean, I can say a lot about that. That's an interesting question because often it's managing other people's perception of you because it's not necessarily a super common thing. I think a lot of people are very much siloed in their thing. I mean, I know people who are renovation directors, and that's all they know, or that's all they think they know. And I think we put these artificial barriers around ourselves, and and maybe that's smart because the Peter principle. It's like you can people do make the mistake of taking on a responsibility they can't handle, and there
Mhm.
is fear in that. Um, that's a really good question because I've never really seen that difference because I always aspired to do scripted comedy. So, factual was just an easy way in because, I get out of film school. I'm in my early 20s. Nobody wants to hire you. This is Canada. This isn't fucking like, let's get Lena Dunn or whatever her name is to do girls or, you know what I mean? I have a friend,
Mhm.
uh, Graham Lynch, who got to do 90210 when he was in his early 20s in the US. It's fucking insane. It's amazing. You'd never, ever, ever have that here in Canada. So for me, it's a good question because I think it was hard to break into scripted at an early age because it's an oversaturated industry and you have people with like at least a decade of experience and obviously it's very risk adverse. You're going to hire, that's definitely changed a lot now, I think. It's another frustration about that, but I can get into that later, risk aversion. But um, to get into is very difficult. So the best I could do is just I have always approached factual as if it was scripted in a way. And by that I mean like to be cinematic, to concentrate on storytelling, um, to empower people on camera who like one of my favorite things to do is to work with non-actors and getting them out of the comfort zone, but in a comfortable way. And then at the end of the day, for them to go, holy shit, I had no idea I had that in me. And I actually really love, I was scared shitless and I actually really loved it and I want to do more. And I've gotten a chance to do that a lot in like recreation shows, where you have these non-union actors or it's often I mean, I just did a show last year, My Haunted Hometown, where I'm getting people that after their interview to then recreate what happened and talking them through these experiences, non-actors, never ever like even been on camera before, uh, and really helping them through that and coaching them through that. And I fucking love it. Now, as far as working in scripted goes, a niche that I've really sort of found I've excelled at. And like I've been on the shoots where there's like the, 10 trucks and, 200 people buzzing around and you shoot one page a day. And that's great. I mean, I understand with a shoot that size, you need that hierarchy and everything else. But I've loved my niche now is like these sort of streamed comedies that are kind of they're done, everything here is done for a fraction of the budget you would have in the US. And like you have to be economical. But like I love that sort of environment where the crew is just small enough that you can know everybody's by name. Everybody feels important to the process, even if it's like 100 people. And you're working it's like creative duress, I guess. And it's like I love that. I love the pressure cooker. I think the less time, the less money you have, the more innovative and creative you can be. And the satisfaction I get through that is exponential. I fucking love it. And I love doing that. And I've worked with people a lot often in these shows where it's like it's half union, or it's like there's people who've only done scripted before and they've never really worked in that kind of environment where you have less resources and you're doing like 12 pages a day or whatever. And I've seen people get really freaked out. I mean, I know I've some specific people come specifically to mind about that. And my analogy is the two worlds are like field doctors and hospital doctors, where a field doctor is a factual person where you're literally have to amputate a leg. You put your belt around their fucking thigh and you cut it off with a fucking bread knife. And then you got the factual world, which is hospital doctors, where you're in a room with four walls and drawers and everything's there. It's very structured and orderly, and that's wonderful. And you do need that. You do need that structure and order. But somewhere in the middle is what I love. I love that thing where it's like a serendipity is possible. Improvisation is part of the process. The best idea can come from anywhere, and that is kind of the reality you're in. This isn't a fucking Stanley Kubrick uh, um, uh, world that we're in Canada. It's not. You can't do 100 takes. You're never given enough time to storyboard or do your shot list, and you do it and you do your best, but so much of it has to do with thinking on your feet and improvisation, which is totally my jam. And I learned that, I honed that in Factual and Kenny versus Spenny and some of these weird hybrid shows I've done.